Okay.
Okay. Thank you for letting me present today. uh, Harae Dx is a cancer diagnostic company using AI to predict cancer with high accuracy. We plan to take this into rural communities where uh, there isn't anything available today, uh, including no trained personnel, etc. Why are we targeting this? Cancer, as we know, is the number one killer. It used to be cardiovascular, and cancer has surpassed that. And in that, breast cancer is the number one killer of people throughout the world. When we look at women, there's about 1.6 billion women over the age of 40, and only 60 million mammograms conducted every year. Whereas we know, and that's the standard of care, we know if cancer can be detected early, you can save lives. Unfortunately, there's less than 4% of the women being uh, diagnosed today. So there's a massive unmet need. Uh, what we have developed is the system that you can see out here, which is based on microfluidics and advanced optical technology, as well as using AI with a sandwich ELISA technique to be able to do the detection. We're looking at 5 different biomarkers as a panel for breast cancer, and we are able to predict. It gives a green, yellow, or red. Green means that they don't have cancer. Yellow means some of the biomarkers are upregulated. Red means they actually have cancer at this particular time. We have done studies on the panel to show that the panel itself works. There were two studies done, and in that we showed that the panel itself had a sensitivity of over 90% and specificity of over 100%. And then we did the same study using the instrumentation that we have developed and the microfluidics, the smallest study being about 56 samples, the largest being about 308. And we got a sensitivity and specificity of, using just 4 of the markers, we were able to get a sensitivity and specificity of over 85%. Now we have added the 5th marker, and we expect to be able to increase that sensitivity and specificity. Is there a market for this? We have already spoken to various physicians and end users and the FDA, and there's a strong interest in getting this technology. It basically takes a drop of blood, a couple of drops of blood, put it into the microfluidics, and that microfluidics disc is put into the instrument, and it spins and gives the results. We have interest from the Indian government to deploy this, start screening about 10 million women in the state of Gujarat, and then move forward. Physicians and healthcare providers are very interested in using this technology, both in the US, India, and China. That's why we have conducted a survey. The cost to our expected selling price would be about $60 for the microfluidics disc, and you can test 6 patients on that. The instrumentation is a one-time investment of about $2,000. And so you can see the projected sales grew up dramatically because of the microfluidics itself. Got a strong team of people who have done this. I'm a serial entrepreneur, and my team has worked with me in the past as well. Where we are right now is we have raised about 400,000 so far into the company. We are in the process of raising additional capital, and we've got some term sheets. But where we are right now is the instrumentation is almost done. The assays are being optimized, and we plan to go into clinical trials in the next 6 months. So we are at biotech diagnostic company focused on cancer diagnostic using protein markers and in a point of care setting so that we can take it into rural communities. And we've got multiple products in the pipeline, starting off with breast cancer, going into other cancers, which you'll see out here, pan cancer, cervical, ovarian, and other diseases. That's about it, which I wanted to share today. Any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.
Okay, do we have any questions from anyone in the audience? Go ahead and type them in the Q&A box. I guess I'll ask you, Sanjeev, where do you expect your biggest market to be? Is it going to be here in the US or is it in other parts of the world?
No, the markets are distributed worldwide. The largest market would probably be China and India because of the number of women. There's about 350 million women over the age of 40 and only 7.5 million screened in China today. In India, out of the 250 million women, only 7 million women are being screened. In the US, of the 60 million women, about 25 million women go through cancer testing or breast cancer testing today. So the markets are pretty large overseas, but having said that, the market is pretty big in the US as well. But the cost, the point, the sales, the price points we are talking about at about $10 per patient to be able to do this test, we are talking about the volumes would be larger in China and India compared to the US.
So that's really kind of surprising that there's that kind of difference in screening rate. Is it because of the cost?
It's because of no, it's not just because of the cost, it's not being available. You know, 60 to 70% of the population lives in non-urban communities or tier 3, tier 4 cities and in rural communities. And the government in all these countries wants to start screening women across the country, but they don't have the capability with mammography being expensive and not being available to most of these people. They just are not able to screen them. And so they need a portable test which can be taken to these communities so that they can be tested there. And if it comes out positive, then they bring them to the district hospitals for further testing using mammography and then, start treating them. And if you can find it early and you can start treating them early, the cost comes down, the productivity goes up, and mortality rate comes down. And that's what they're interested in.
Here in the US, we've seen what I consider to be just ridiculous regulatory hurdles to early multi-cancer early detection in particular. There's only a few cancers that are regularly screened for, and all the rest of them are just being blocked by the FDA for no good reason, if you ask me. So do you run into those sorts of regulatory issues with your technology, especially in the markets that you're in?
No, actually not. We have spoken to the DCGI in India. We have spoken also to the CFDA, which is NMPA now in China. And we have also spoken to the US FDA, the IVD head, and everyone has said we should be putting this as a breakthrough fast track. All of them are interested in getting this into the market as quickly as possible. So even in the US, it's the same thing. I think I see more of a regulatory hurdle in Europe with the changes in the regulation there than in US, China, or India.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much, Sanjeev, and I'm sure people can find you on your website. Right?
Yes. Thank you very much for having me.